His manager sent 3 words. Can we talk? The message appeared on Marcus's phone just after 6 o'clock. The meeting was tomorrow morning. That was all. No explanation, no context, no clue what it was about. Marcus stared at the screen, then read it again and again. 3 simple words. Yet somehow they felt heavier every time he looked at them. At first he tried to be sensible. Maybe it was about a project, maybe a routine catch-up, maybe nothing important at all. But uncertainty has a way of creating its own stories. And Marcus's mind had already started writing one. What if I've done something wrong? What if they're unhappy with my work? What if I've missed something important? He put his phone down, then picked it up again. Still no new messages, no clarification, no reassurance. Just those 3 words. Can we talk? By dinner, the questions had become assumptions. By bedtime, they had become predictions. Marcus imagined losing his job, then losing his income, then falling behind on bills, then disappointing his wife, then having to explain it all to his daughter. The future he'd spent years building seemed to collapse inside his imagination before anything had actually happened. The strange thing wasn't how quickly it happened. It was how real it felt. His heart reacted as if the disaster had already arrived. His body prepared for a threat that didn't exist. By 10 o'clock, he was updating his CV, just in case. By 11, he was searching for new jobs online, just in case. By midnight, he was checking his savings account, just in case. Every click felt sensible, responsible, prepared. But beneath it all was fear. Fear disguised as planning, fear disguised as control. At 2 in the morning, Marcus was still awake, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing conversations that had never happened, answering accusations nobody had made, preparing for outcomes nobody had predicted. And that's when something quietly changed. Marcus realized he wasn't preparing for tomorrow. He was surviving a future that only existed in his head. Yet it felt real enough to steal his sleep, real enough to tighten his chest, real enough to ruin his evening. The next morning he looked exhausted. His wife asked if he was okay. Marcus smiled, said he was tired. But the truth was he had spent the entire night fighting a battle that hadn't happened. The meeting was at 9. By 8:45 his palms were sweating. Every notification sound made him jump. Every step toward the office felt heavier than the last. His manager opened the door. "Come in." Marcus sat down, waiting, bracing himself, preparing for impact. His manager smiled, then said, "We've been discussing your future here." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Here it comes." Then she continued, "We'd like to offer you a promotion." Silence. For a moment Marcus couldn't process the words. A promotion. Not a warning, not a dismissal, not a crisis. Everything his mind had predicted had been wrong. Psychologists call this catastrophizing, the habit of jumping from uncertainty to the worst possible outcome. Not because you're weak, not because you're irrational, because the human brain evolved to detect threats. Long ago, assuming danger kept people alive. A sound in the bushes, a shadow in the dark, a sudden movement nearby. Better a false alarm than a missed danger. The problem is that modern life is filled with uncertainty. Emails, text messages, missed calls, conversations waiting to happen. And sometimes the brain treats uncertainty as if it were danger. So it fills in the blanks, writes the ending, creates a disaster before the story has even begun. Marcus still worries sometimes. He's human. But now when his mind races ahead, he asks himself one question. What evidence do I actually have? Not what he fears, not what he imagines, what he knows, because uncertainty is uncomfortable. But it is not the same thing as danger. And how many futures have we suffered through that never happened? We don't treat, we don't diagnose, we reveal with compassion. This is Psychopathology Tales.